Every Gen Z around the world, and especially here in America, shares one common dream: to become rich someday. It doesn't matter whether they earn a low income or a high income. Maybe you have that dream too.
But somehow, it never becomes reality. Why? What's the real problem that's stopping you from achieving financial success? How can someone build wealth even with a low income? That's exactly what today's video is about.
Now, imagine this. Two 25-year-old men. They live in the same city. They work in the same industry. They start their jobs at the same time. Both earn $19 an hour. 20 to 22 years later, one of them has become a financial millionaire. The other is still living in a rented apartment, financially struggling. Why? And why is this happening to millions of people, not just in America, but around the world? Before they even realize what's happening, millions of Gen Z are already making this same mistake. But why? What's the mistake? According to financial research, in 2026, income alone does not determine wealth. Two people earning the exact same salary can end up with completely different net worths because of their investing habits, savings, and spending decisions. Now, let's begin with two important facts. Fact number one. According to surveys conducted in 2026, nearly 44% of Gen Z plan to use Buy Now, Pay Later, BNPL, for major purchases. A large portion of them are even using it for everyday expenses like groceries and gas. Fact number two. Nearly 66% of Gen Z are actively saving money, and many of them are increasing the amount they save every year. These two facts tell us something very important. Gen Z is quietly splitting into two different financial groups, and those two groups are creating two completely different financial futures. Now, let me introduce you to Mickel. Mickel is 25 years old. He works for a company in Chicago. He earns $19 an hour, or roughly $39,000 a year. It's a perfectly ordinary salary, nothing extraordinary. On the other hand, Mickel's friend John earns exactly the same salary. But one decision John made completely changed the course of his life. A decision that most people his age never make. And by the end of this video, you'll discover exactly what that decision was. Like Mickel, John also earned $39,000 a year. But before he even had time to think about it, his money was already disappearing through different payment apps. Medical bill, paid in 4 installments. A weekend trip, paid in 5 installments. Even $50 to $60 worth of groceries were being paid through installment plans. The biggest problem wasn't the purchases themselves. The real problem was that the true cost of spending became almost invisible. According to a 2025 Morning Consult report, 44% of Gen Z are using Buy Now, Pay Later services, and this convenience is quietly hurting an entire generation. Something previous generations simply didn't have at this age. Meanwhile, Mickel was doing something completely different. The moment his paycheck arrived, before spending on anything extra, he automatically saved 14 to 15% of his income into his Roth IRA retirement account, a place where his investments could continue growing tax-free for retirement under current U.S. tax rules. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't something he posted about on social media. It was simply automatic. Every 2 weeks, without exception. Socially, there was a price to pay. While his friends were buying expensive cars, moving into luxury apartments, and upgrading their lifestyles, Mickel chose to live simply. He quietly continued investing 15% of his salary and increased that amount whenever his income grew. The lesson here is simple. The money you never see leaving your checking account is often the money that gets saved most consistently. Mickel invested that money into a diversified long-term index fund. Historically, the U.S. stock market has delivered roughly 10% average annual returns before inflation over very long periods, although actual returns vary from year to year. After accounting for inflation, long-term real returns have generally been lower. Mickel's entire financial plan was quietly growing, powered by one incredible force: compound growth. Every month, he invested about $487. That's roughly $5,850 a year. The amount felt so small that Mickel barely noticed it. And that mindset was one of the biggest differences between him and many people his age. Starting at 25 instead of 35 doesn't simply give your money 10 extra years. It gives your investments 10 additional years to keep growing and to keep earning returns on previous returns. That's where the real magic happens. Mickel invested $487 every month, or approximately $5,850 a year. The amount was so small that he barely noticed it. And that investment mindset was one of the biggest differences between many people in the previous generation and many Gen Z today. Starting at 25 instead of 35 doesn't just give your money 10 extra years. It gives your investments 10 additional years to quietly grow, allowing your money to earn returns on top of previous returns. Imagine this. If you invest $487 per month and earn an average annual return of 7% starting at age 25, by the time you turn 45, your portfolio could grow to approximately $255,000. If the average annual return is 8%, it could grow to nearly $300,000. Can you imagine that? Now, here's the shocking part. If you make the exact same monthly investment at the exact same return, but wait until age 35 to start, by age 45, your portfolio would grow to only about $115,000. The biggest difference wasn't the amount invested. It was time. The more time your money has to grow, the greater the potential reward. Meanwhile, John's financial situation was moving in the opposite direction. By the time he turned 28, his combined buy now, pay later balances and credit card debt had already exceeded $4,000. This reflects a broader trend. Recent data from Experian shows that Gen Z has been one of the fastest growing generations in terms of debt growth. With credit card interest rates of around 20% to 22%, combined with late fees from installment payment apps, John struggled to save anything at all. Two people, the same age, the same salary, yet the gap between their financial futures kept growing. Not because one was smarter, not because one worked harder, but because of one powerful force: compound growth. No one ever taught John at the age of 23, 24, or 25 how valuable it could be to start saving and investing early. Now, let's talk about compound interest. Compound interest doesn't ask whether you're ready. It simply keeps working every single day. It can work for you or against you. And for many people, that process begins with their very next paycheck. So, be alert. 20 years later, Mickel is now 45 years old. His retirement account and long-term index fund investments have grown to around $450,000. On the other hand, John is also 45, but he's still struggling with high-interest debt that he hasn't been able to pay off. The form of the debt has changed over the years. Sometimes it's credit card debt. Sometimes it's buy now, pay later balances. And on top of that, medical bills continue to add more financial pressure. According to Bank of America data, 2026, a large portion of Gen Z is now spending more than half of their income on rent, leaving very little room each year to break out of this financial cycle. Now, let's talk about the solution. First, what exactly did Mickel do that allowed him to build wealth? The answer is simple.
The moment he started his job, he also started investing. As soon as his paycheck reached his bank account, a portion of it was automatically transferred into index funds and other long-term investment funds.
Second, Mickel focused on something that most people his age completely overlooked: time. He understood that time was his greatest financial advantage. Third, he never treated buy now, pay later as a shopping tool. He treated it as a warning sign. Splitting one purchase into 5 payments never makes it cheaper. It simply hides how expensive that decision really is. Fourth, every investment he made was designed for the long term. He stayed patient, he stayed invested, and he allowed time to do the heavy lifting. Fifth, while lifestyle inflation continued growing across America and around the world, Mickel refused to let his spending grow as fast as his income.
He avoided unnecessary luxury. He never tried to impress people with expensive purchases. He chose long-term financial freedom over short-term social status. Mickel didn't become financially successful because he was born into a wealthy family. He didn't become wealthy because of stock tips. He didn't become wealthy because of a viral side hustle. And he certainly didn't win the lottery. He became financially successful because of one simple, almost boring habit that he started nearly 10 years earlier than most people and never stopped doing. And that is the biggest lesson from today's story. A lesson that has the potential to change not only your life, but your family's future as well. Now, ask yourself one question. Are you closer to the 44% or the 66%? Let me know in the comments below. And finally, stay with us, because in the next video, we'll reveal how one small buy now, pay later habit can quietly cost you thousands of dollars over the next 10 years. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.